Welcome everyone. Before we start, let's take a moment of silence to bring the mind home in the body. So, would anyone want to read out the opening aspiration? One of us.
With boundless compassion and wisdom, I will work for the welfare of all. May we be free from hunger and discord and have joy and a world at peace.
Thank you. So, we were reading and reflecting upon verse 8, taking it very slowly, which is completely fine. So, before we come to where we last left, let's read the verse again once more. Yeah, would anyone want to read out just the verse at the moment so that we remember what we are reading right now?
I'll do it.
Yeah.
The Buddha taught that the unendurable suffering of the lower realms is the fruit of unvirtuous actions. Therefore, to never act unvirtuously, even at the cost of one's life, is the practice of a Bodhisattva.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so here I think we were somewhere around here where we stopped last. Just last these two bits I'll read and then we'll take up new paragraphs. The important thing, just as a reminder for where we were, the important thing is not to worry about what is going to happen to us, but to create inner strength to deal with whatever does happen. We will be able to take it on the path with us. Something that outwardly looks negative can inwardly be exactly what we need as a real help and aid to our practice. This is so important, and it's what this text is all about. It is like going to a gymnasium because we are out of condition. There are all these exercise machines designed to challenge our muscles. If they are too easy, we adjust them to make them more difficult, to make them more challenging. Otherwise, how are we going to get strong? So, this is where we stopped last. So, we will continue, and if someone can read two upcoming paragraphs, that would be nice.
I'll read.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So we practice the dharma because we need to get strong. It is no good telling ourselves, oh, this is impossible. I can't do this. I am too weak. It is because we are weak that we need these texts to help us develop those inner spiritual muscles so that whatever happens to us, we can deal with it. Then there is no hope and fear because whatever occurs, we can take it on the path. This is what Lojong is all about. Developing the confidence and the qualities that will help with whatever happens to us in our lives as our practice. Instead of moaning and complaining and feeling sorry for ourselves, we appreciate that this is our opportunity to practice properly. It is pointless to be a fair weather Buddhist who practices when the sun is shining but runs for cover as soon as it starts storming.
Thank you. Yes. So many times we feel, oh, it's so difficult, which of course it feels difficult, definitely, at times. But that is where the practice lies, because it is difficult. And anyway, otherwise also life becomes difficult, the older ways. So we need to, as she says, we need to get strong. Because as most of the times when we are identified with our desire soul, as we were reading elsewhere also, it makes us weak. And not only it makes us weak, it also gives us a lot of turmoil and trouble. All of us have tasted that. So in those moments of our life where we are identified with the desire soul, not are not in a detached way looking at thoughts and feelings and moods and emotions, but are totally one with them, there it becomes very challenging. Things are very troublesome there, and there we also feel very weak, that how will I do without this person or that person. There things don't seem possible. But like we have, very good example of Deepa Ma's story, who is a Buddhist teacher, and she was such in a very great trouble, so such a great emotional turmoil. Her children, I think, were not doing fine. There was also, the husband had died. So she said that it was only meditation that saved me, because meditation helped her disentangle from all these emotions and surface turmoil, where all the time we are just entangled. So she says if not for that, she would have not been surviving. And then later on, she became also, not only for her own self, she changed her life, but also for many others. She was an inspiration. So it is no good telling ourselves, oh, this is impossible. I can't do this. I am too weak. Somebody I was talking to, he was sharing with me that man ki shakti nahi hai. Man ki shakti chali gayi hai as if. And then I reminded myself also of our textbooks in India earlier, at least in our CBSE syllabus. There was a something like a quote from Mahatma Gandhi, where it was written. I don't know if all the textbooks had that, but maybe at least few had that, where it was written that at some point of time, if you feel very disheartened and there is no hope left and you're feeling very unworthy and everything, just have a look at any person who is less opportunate than you. So I reminded my relative of, that I have a person at my, my relative, who is right now not even in a condition to take divine name. So if you are feeling that, okay, I don't have any will left, I am feeling too weak, at least your mind is functional, your intellect is functional, that you can say, oh, I am feeling so helpless, only, the divine or the mother, you now do whatever you want to do. I can't do it again, alone. I can't do it. I can't manage it. So even that is an opportunity, that your mind is functional and you can remember and invoke the divine, because not everybody has the opportunity. What will you do with a person whose brain is not functional, whose consciousness is altered, and he can't even do that? Of course, in some sense, he's also taken care of. Everything is taken care of, but we have to look that there are many things for which we can be grateful, and we can start from there. So when we are saying, oh, this is impossible, I can't do this, I am too weak, we have also, I feel, parallelly to realize that there are so many things right now which are positive in my favor. I am not in the hospital, my organs are not dysfunctional, I am functional, my mind is functional, my intellect is functional, I can remember if I want to remember the divine. So it is because we are, and we all are weak, all of us have our own weaknesses, and that's how we have to gain some muscle strength and go over. That's how it's like the whole world is a gymnasium. Otherwise, what are we doing here? So it is because we are weak that we need these texts to help us develop those inner spiritual muscles, so that whatever happens to us, we can deal with it. And Alokda was sharing in one of the talks that whenever we go through these emotional turmoils and things of life, the bhav sagar, it helps us. It kind of like we knead the dough, atta gunte. It's like you're stretching it and then doing it again and stretching it so that it becomes supple and flexible and ready to be used. So all these emotional turmoils, challenges, experiences that we are facing in our life, they make our heart more wide, vaster, and also more open and flexible. So everything is happening for a reason. लेकिन जब वो ऐसा ऐसा लग रहा होता है पिटाई हो रही है, तो फिर उस समय आपको दर्द होता है, एंड वी जस्ट देयर इज नो अदर वे बट टू एंड्योर दैट पेन, नोइंग दैट इट इज ऑल लीडिंग टू समथिंग गुड. एज मदर सेज, एंड्योर. जब मैं आज वो धो रही थी, वो जो होते हैं ना, क्या कहते हैं उसको, डोर मैट्स, तो डोर मैट को, जब आप कपड़े वाले डोर मैट को जब आप धोते हो, फर्स्ट यू सोक इट इनटू द सोपी वाटर एंड देन you pito it. And when I was peating it, I was actually remembering my own self कि ऐसे ही तो होती है पिटाई. और उसमें से मैल निकल रही थी, और जितना ज़्यादा मैं उसको पीट रही हूँ उतनी ज़्यादा मैल निकल रही है. तो मैंने कहा वाह, दिस इज कॉल्ड डिवाइन कंपैशन, कि जब पिटाई हो रही है आपकी, तो आपको पता हो कि अच्छा हो रहा है, शुभ हो रहा है, कि मैल निकल रही है, सो दैट इट कैन बी यूज्ड अगेन. नाउ आई एम ड्राइंग इट एंड देन आई बी यूजिंग इट अगेन. Otherwise, how will the purification happen? Yeah, so anything here? Anyone?
Yeah, I mean, I was also remembering today that story of the teacup that you had posted in the group. Uh, I mean, it was around the time I had joined, and it was about the clay changing form, and every time it is crying that why is this happening to me when the clay is rolled and it's put in the oven, and and then finally the teacup emerges. So it is like all these processes were necessary to make it into the teacup, the teapot, yeah. Something. And I was just reflecting and comparing it to our life, that how when this happens to us, of course we cry and all that, and we blame the person who is doing it, कि अरे ये कितना बुरा है, इसने मेरे साथ ये किया. But actually the other person is really just playing their role to make us into the teacup. Like, it's part of the process and that person is just playing that role. But at that time it is so like, we are valuing in our self-pity ki are, and also blaming that person was just, yeah.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. श्री अरबिंदो भी एक जगह कहते हैं कि even the most anti-divine are doing my work only, doing divine's work. कुछ ना कुछ जरूरत है अभी उनकी जो वो एग्जिस्ट कर रहे हैं. So उनको लग रहा है कि नहीं हम तो गॉड के अगेंस्ट हैं और एंड ऑल दैट, दे मे हैव देयर ओन थ्योरीज अबाउट इट, बट हमें ये पता ही नहीं है कि ये पॉसिबिलिटी ही नहीं है कि गॉड के अगेंस्ट कुछ हो पाए। तो even those who appear like monsters and whatever, they are actually serving a purpose in the large picture of what we don't know. So, काफी interesting. This is very interesting. Like how Sri Aurobindo realized that in Alipur jail, all that it was happening to him was, for his own thing. How he realized that. स्टार्टिंग में एकदम से उनको लगा कि एक्सक्यूज मी, ये मैं कहाँ पे हूँ और क्यों हूँ, बट और हम सबको ही टाइम टू टाइम वी हैव फेजेस लाइक दैट कि क्यों हो रहा है मेरे साथ, लेकिन जब हम उससे लर्न करना शुरू कर देते हैं, उस फेज को अपनी ग्रोथ के लिए यूज करना शुरू कर देते हैं, तब एक्चुअली लगता है कि वाह कितनी अपरंपार दया भगवान की कि ये फेज आया मेरी लाइफ में। तब वो फिर वो नहीं लगता, फिर वो करुणा लगती है, फिर वो क्रुएल्टी ऑफ गॉड नहीं लगती, वो करुणा लगती, कंपैशन लगती है।
Yeah, I have also realized this in one way, you know, like abuse. कोई जब थोड़ा थोड़ा करता रहता है ना, तो आपको पता नहीं लगता और आप उसके एडजस्ट होते रहते हो कि इतना सही तो है, इतना सही तो है। एंड बट जब वो एकदम से बहुत सारा कर देता है, then you can actually see it, then you can actually like make that decision कि no, I don't want this.
ये बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट है, इसी
और
बात।
अगर वो
यस प्लीज कंटिन्यू। यस।
या नहीं, बस यही यही मतलब दिस इज व्हाट आई मीन, आई एम जस्ट सीइंग दीज डेज, आई डोंट नो, दिस थॉट इज बीन कमिंग बिकॉज अगर वो थोड़ा थोड़ा करता है, सपोज 10 साल के लिए वो थोड़ा थोड़ा करता है, तो 10 साल के बाद आप कुछ और ही बन जाते हो, आपको पता भी नहीं लगता कि आपने छोटा छोटा कॉम्प्रोमाइज करके और आप कुछ और ही बन गए। लेकिन जब वो एक ही बार में उतना करता है, तो आप उसको देख सकते हो एंड यू कैन मेक दैट डिसीजन कि नो, आई डोंट वांट दिस।
Yeah. And maybe all this process was happening so that something in you can stand up for itself. कि वो थोड़ा 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 कि कब तक नहीं हिलेगी, कब तक अपने लिए स्टैंड नहीं लेगी, है ना। तो इट रीचेज अ स्टेट कि ओ अब तो बहुत नाक से पानी ऊपर, वट एवर द मुहावरा दैट वी यूज, कि अब तो पानी नाक से ऊपर निकल गया, मतलब सांस नहीं आ रही बेसिकली, है ना। तो उसमें आपको लगता है कि बस अब मैं, अब अभी तक तो मैंने सहन कर लिया बट अब मैं नहीं कर सकती। सो एंड वी लेटर ऑन इन रेट्रोस्पेक्ट, इफ वी गेट द ट्रू नॉलेज, वी कैन एक्चुअली रियलाइज दैट ऑल दोज years of abuse and suffering were actually for me to stand up for myself, which I was not able to do. In fact, ये एक तरीका है, मतलब अगर आप schools में देखो, schools who have a little bit of alternative bent, what we call as bullying. अब अगर माँ बाप आस पास हैं और बच्चा अगर बुली हो रहा है, आप देखोगे कि आपसे सहा नहीं जाएगा, आप बीच में इंटरफेयर कर ही दोगे, आप दूसरे बच्चे को बोल दोगे हाउ डेयर यू डू दैट और वॉट एवर वॉट यू थिंक यू आर डूइंग, आप कुछ ना कुछ आप बोल दोगे, आप अपनी तरफ से सोचोगे मैंने बहुत अच्छे से टैकल किया, राइट, है ना। आपको ये नहीं लगेगा कि नहीं मैंने इम्पोलाइट थी, नहीं मैंने जो बोलना था वही वही बोला। बट एक्चुअली मैं आई हैव सीन केसेस वेयर द मेन फाउंडर was allowing the person to bully, she was not interfering, so that one day that weaker fellow, the child weaker, one day he stood up and he's एक लगाया उसने खींच के दूसरे बच्चे को, and she said देखो अब हो गया काम, this has served his purpose. अब देखो अब ये क्रूअल कितना लगता है, उस समय लगता है इतने क्रूअल हो तुम, है ना। पेरेंट भी चाह रहा है उसके अंदर इंटरफेयर करना, आप पेरेंट को भी नहीं कर रहे, आप कह रहे हो बस आप देखो अभी, देयर इज समथिंग अनफोल्डिंग एंड इट रिक्वायर्स अ लॉट ऑफ फेथ, एंड ऑन द फाउंडर्स पार्ट आई फील दैट दिस इज एन एक्ट ऑफ लव, कि उसने एम्पावर किया वीकर चाइल्ड को टू टेक to be able to be responsible for himself. कब तक आप अकेले आपके बच्चे के साथ घूमते रहोगे और बोलोगे कि प्लीज उसको परेशान मत करो, प्लीज उसको परेशान मत करो, कब तक? और एक बार वो शक्ति अगर आपने अंदर अपने टच कर ली, ऑल ऑफ अस नो दैट, है ना, एक बार अगर हम वो शक्ति टच कर लेते हैं, फिर हमें उसका स्वाद आ जाता है, फिर हमें पता है कि कर लेंगे, ये सोवट वाली बात हो जाती है कि हाँ देख लेंगे, जो होगा देखा जाएगा. So this is compassion, which when it is happening doesn't feel like compassion, it feels cruel. So तभी हमें एक्चुअली में पता नहीं है लव होता क्या है. I have no clue what love is. मतलब बस इतना समझ में आ रहा है कि पता नहीं है. इतनी क्लैरिटी हो रही है कि अभी नहीं पता कि प्यार होता क्या है. So it's very interesting how, and later on then if we have झरोखा to true knowledge, it all appears like a play, that अच्छा ये तो मेरे लिए ही हो रहा था सब. Even denying, for example, a child of something, अब रो रहा है बच्चा, रो रहा है, रो रहा है, रो रहा है, रो रहा है, रो रहा है ना, लेकिन आपको पता है कि इसको ये जिद छोड़नी पड़ेगी. रो रहा है, उसके बाद सो रहा है, तभी तो लाइट बंद है. Practical examples दे रही हूँ. I may not use the names. Yes. Yeah, anything more? Anyone?
Just wanted to just reflect upon what we read about how our mind constantly tells us that we are weak, and using this, and these moments come if we want to, as a way of empowering ourselves through our spiritual practice, or using our practice to really. So there was this very, like, something happened this weekend. We went on a trek, and it's a very steep trek. My partner is a little bit adventurous type. I'm not too much adventurous. And he said, okay, we will do this trek on the cycle. I said, are you mad? I was thinking it's very hard to even walk up this hill. You're telling me do it on a cycle? It's so steep. I said, no, I can't. He said, no, we will do. And I said, okay, let's do it. And along the way, it was so hard. Of course, it was very steep and on the cycle. And I said, okay, you go, you cycle, because you're very good at cycling. I'm still learning. So I will walk up the cycle. He said, no, we're here to cycle. And I said, it's uphill. He said, but there'll be downhill. And then, but yeah, I really abused him. I said, you're so ruthless. Can't you see? I can't even breathe. He said, that is how you build the stamina. And, there was this. And then something in me was saying, try it, do it. And I was like, but it was really hard. Like, I was feeling, my mind was telling me, it's so hard. You're so weak. You're unable to breathe and everything. And then I think before, when, like, just one day before, we were having a session, and we were talking about how even mechanical names of the divine can really help us in difficult situations. So I thought, okay, how about I take the approach of saying that I'm mother's child, and therefore I can do it. So I'm not feeling it, but I said, okay, I'm mother's child, I can do it. I can conquer any difficulty. So I started. But along the way, it didn't resonate, because I use mother's child even on day-to-day basis. I'm mother's child, so even for small things I will do. And so it didn't resonate. I was saying, no, this is not working. Something is not working here, and it was really hard for me. For some people say, what rubbish, but that moment was hard because I was unable to breathe and I was pushing myself. And so I thought, okay, maybe I should use something more higher this time. It might not resonate with me, but I will go only by mechanically saying it, just saying it, and I'll try saying it as that. So I said, I'm sure Bindu's Arya. So I've never used this word Arya, but Arya had such power, that somebody has a power. Mother's child is still a little bit sweet child, small child. So I said, it didn't at all resonate because I was not feeling it, but I was continuously, not because my mind was saying, you're very weak, you should just go away, you should go back to the car or just walk, don't cycle, this is impossible. But I said, no, I will keep saying Shubhindu's Arya, and I was really happy that just by doing it, I could do it. Of course, I had to stop, I had to have breather, I had to have water, I even sat down for 5 minutes. But when I reached up, the view was very beautiful. and it was so beautiful that what we were reading here, that really in these moments when your mind is continuously telling that you cannot do it, it is just through this spiritual practice we can really make that effort. And I know it's a small example in that sense, but for me it was really big because I'm not good at it. So, and that was one thing, spiritual practice, and the use of affirmations, or mechanically even saying it, even though I do not resonate, I don't think so I'm the Arya. But just by saying that I'm Shobindo's Arya, it really helped me do it. Which, if I have not used it, I would have just turned around and gone back in the car and sat down because I thought. So yeah, it really resonated that we should always, like latch on to the higher self of ours and not because mind is always very good in telling you, be in your comfort zone, be in your comfort zone. Just thought of sharing that.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल I think it's a very good example, and oftentimes we feel that one has to be very easy, है ना. अगर मुझे तकलीफ हो रही है तो इसका मतलब कुछ गड़बड़ है, मैं, जबकि आप देखो तकलीफ हो रही है लेकिन आपको पता है कि मुझे करना है. तकलीफ के बिना, एफर्ट के बिना एक्सपेंशन थोड़ी ना पॉसिबल है ना. इवन जब हम शरीर में बढ़ रहे होते हैं तो कपड़े फट रहे होते हैं, है ना. तो इसका मतलब एफर्ट हो रहा है, मतलब वो अलग बात है कि इन अ नेगेटिव टर्म, रॉन्ग एग्जांपल, सॉरी, me and my examples, but in the sense that it is an effort, and it would we can't expect it to be very easy, क्योंकि अक्सर हमको ये लगता है कि अगर मैं easy नहीं हूं तो कुछ गड़बड़ हो रही है ना. जबकि हम जब easy तभी रहते हैं जब हम comfort zones में रहते हैं. If every day we are actually trying to be an Aryan, which you rightly said, है ना, it is an Aryan is, that's what Sri Aurobindo says, Aryan is a uphill climb. Each moment you have to make a choice, that which reveals the Godhead against that which conceals the Godhead. तो आपने वो चूज किया. इट्स अ वेरी ब्यूटिफुल एग्जाम्पल, नॉट अ ट्रिवियल वन. वो अलग बात है कि आने वाले और इन्फिनिटी पड़ी है सामने, बट दिस हैज इट्स इम्पोर्टेंस, है ना. तो जब भी हम अपनी एक्सपैंड करते हैं, वी बिकम वाइडर, वास्टर इन अवर कॉन्शियसनेस, इवन फिजिकल कॉन्शियसनेस, राइट नाउ विच यू वर शेयरिंग, प्लस मेंटली गेटिंग स्ट्रॉन्ग कि नहीं, कर लेंगे, तकलीफ हो रही है बट कर लेंगे. आई हैव सो मेनी एग्जाम्पल्स, especially with my kids, where I pushed them into something which they were resisting. Now people say that no, as a parent you should not push, right? बहुत बातें होती हैं इन चीज़ों की, फोर्स मत करो, है ना, मेरा मन नहीं कर रहा. मैं आपको बता नहीं सकती, मतलब it would have been, somebody would have seen it, they would see कि ये कितनी cruel lady है, मतलब how can she do that to her children. But I know that was required so that they can overcome that little resistance that they had, and I knew I was not pushing them into something which is ganda, है ना, which is of course expensive. तो ये मैंने अपने साथ होते हुए बहुत बार देखा है. So now this categorization has gone from my mind कि अगर गंदा लग रहा है तो इसका मतलब वो आपके लिए वो ठीक नहीं है. कितनी बार मैंने अपने साथ होते हुए देखा है कि जहाँ पे मेरे को रेजिस्टेंस फील हो रही है, जहाँ पे मैं वो काम नहीं करना चाह रही हूँ, वहां पे जब मैंने वो किया है, आई हैव एक्चुअली फेल्ट कि हाँ अब कुछ खुला, एज इफ यू हैव क्रॉस्ड एटलीस्ट दैट बॉर्डर वेयर यू वर हैंगिंग. तो ये एफर्ट, और दैट्स व्हाई मदर
I
सेज,
wanted
एंड
to ask here, which is very like sometimes it is true that things that are bothering, it is for your growth and you really feel expansive, but there are also times that's not true. I don't know how to say it in an other sense, that sometimes my inner self tells me that this is not right, there is a resistance. I remember, because I'm a emotional person, if I can say that. It's hard to say no for me. Now I'm learning it. But even though if I say yes and there's a resistance, don't say it. You won't like it. You won't like to go to that get together because you don't feel, last time it did not, you felt that connection was gone that you had. It was all other thoughts, that environment didn't suit you. The next time somebody calls, I should say no, but there's a resistance. But in that sense, it is not right because there is resistance and I kind of still do it. I hope you understand.
yeah.
So I don't know, sometimes it's hard to distinguish when the resistance is good and we should overcome it, and when should we succumb, and it's very hard to sometimes distinguish it.
You're right, it's hard, but even then it's a win-win situation. देखो, अगर आप घर पे रुक गए, नहीं गए, कोई बात नहीं, वो तो फिर ठीक ही है. और अगर आप चले गए और आपको पता लग गया नो बैड डिसीजन टू कम और वॉट एवर, और मे बी यू हैव योर ओन शिफ्ट इन इनर कॉन्शियसनेस दैट inside you shifted in such a way that there in that space where you thought I would not resonate, you were able to actually offer yourself in a beautiful way. I have seen that happen. You know, I have been to such kind of places where I thought कि नहीं यार इन लोगों से मुझे अब I don't resonate, नहीं मिलना, but I tried. I was there. There was shift in the consciousness. I was not having judgmental thoughts about those people, and it was a beautiful conversation, and everybody benefited, from each other. So ये मतलब दोनों तरफ इसकी मुझे लगता है कि विन विन सिचुएशन ही है. Either we resist the experience, doesn't matter, it may come again. If we go through the experience, either I will realize that I should not be repeating it again, or I will have a shift in consciousness within. है ना, क्योंकि डिफिकल्ट है, एट टाइम्स डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है कि करें तो क्या करें उस सिचुएशन में, है ना, क्योंकि हमारी क्लैरिटी भी तो आती है और जाती जाती है ना, पूरी क्लैरिटी नहीं है. तो ये तो इट्स बाउंड टू हैपन एंड वी विल लर्न एज जत्सुन्मा वाज शेयरिंग, वी विल टेक इट ऑन द पाथ. तो इवन मान लो अब मैं शादियों में जाना मैंने बंद कर दिया फॉर एग्जाम्पल, और कोई चलो मैं पुश कर करके नहीं मन कर रहा, फीलिंग भी नहीं आ रही, नॉट राइट, मैं पहुंच गई. तो मैंने ऐसा भी देखा हुआ है कि शादी के बीच में भी, ऑल्दो इट्स अनदर मैटर कि आई डोंट वांट टू बी इन दैट स्पेस, बट इवन देन समथिंग ब्यूटिफुल हैपन्स इफ यू हैव अ शिफ्ट विद इन. अंदर से अगर जजमेंट चली जाए लोगों के बारे में, मैंने ये देखा है कि वो ड्रॉप ऑफ पॉइजन चली जाती है और सुंदर ही होता है कुछ. और जहाँ तक ये सेंटिमेंटैलिटी की बात है, although it was not what you wanted to discuss, but it hit me because lately I just read Sri Aurobindo and he says sentimentality in emotions or wherever, in relationships, it's a mark of very inflated egoism. तो ये बड़ा अच्छा लगा मुझे सुन के कि इसका मतलब इस पे हमें काम करना चाहिए ना. मतलब इट्स नॉट दैट वी स्टॉप लविंग, बट हाउ टू लव विदाउट द प्रेजेंस ऑफ दैट मी एसोसिएटेड विद इट. ये चैलेंज है हमारा. और मदर तो यहाँ तक कहती हैं कि जितनी एक बंदे में जबरदस्त वीकनेस या डार्कनेस, उसका एक्चुअली में उसने इस जन्म में उसका पर्पस क्या है, उसका ऑपोजिट जो एक्सट्रीमली ऑपोजिट है वो उसको टच करना है. सोच के देखो, अब जैसे हम इमोशनल वीकनेस की बात कर रहे हैं, तो इसका मतलब ऑफ कोर्स आई एम अटैच्ड, दैट्स व्हाई इमोशनली वीक, राइट. इसका मतलब आई हैव द कैपेसिटी टू बी एक्सट्रीमली डिटैच्ड एंड ऑपरेट फ्रॉम दैट पॉइज ऑफ डिटैचमेंट. एंगर की बात ले लो, पीपल हु आर वेरी वेरी एंग्री, they have extremely opposite, they can be very very kind and generous. अब ये है कि how does that happen, how much do we achieve now in this life and then rest of it in the next life. लेकिन कैपेसिटी है. मदर ये कहती हैं इन सिंथेसिस ऑफ योगा के जो टॉक्स हैं मदर की, उसमें देयर इज अ बिग पैराग्राफ वेयर शी शेयर्स कि जो आपका डार्कनेस और गंदी चीजें प्रेजेंट है, उसका ऑपोजिट छोर आपको मिलना है, इसलिए वो प्रेजेंट है, वो रॉ मटेरियल है. जैसे सूखा आटा है, अब सूखे आटे को जिसको नहीं पता आटा कैसे गूंथता है, वो देख के एक्चुअली बोलेगा कि यार इससे रोटी बनती है ना, क्योंकि उसको वो प्रोसेस ही नहीं पता. वो उसको फिर धीरे धीरे अच्छा इसमें पानी डलता है, अच्छा फिर इसको गूंथते हैं, फिर इसको थोड़ी देर रखते हैं, अच्छा फिर इसको बेलते हैं, तब रोटी बनती है. तो कि उसको देख के नहीं लग रहा कि इसको रोटी बनती है, पाउडर को देख के कि इससे रोटी कैसे बन सकती है. सो एक्सट्रीमली ऑपोजिट things we carry in ourselves. So it's a very uplifting thing कि जो हम में कूड़ा कचड़ा हम समझते हैं कि ये भरा पड़ा है, उसका आप एक्सट्रीमली ऑपोजिट हायर एंड चूज कर लो, देख लो कि क्या हो सकता है. वहां पहुंचना है हम सबको. ये आर्यन ही तो हुआ. जैसे अभी आप फिजिकल वीकनेस की, स्टेमिना की बात कर रहे थे, है ना, तो इसका मतलब यू हैव द कैपेसिटी टू एक्चुअली बी सो गुड इन स्टेमिना. Now it is up to you how much you do in this life and how much you leave it for the next. वो हमारे ऊपर है, वो फ्री विल है. So it gives us a lot of hope, I feel, that जो कूड़ा कचरा है, हमारे पास इतने अच्छे एग्जाम्पल्स हैं नेचर में. आप देखो कंपोस्ट, ऑर्गेनिक कंपोस्ट, ऑर्गेनिक मेन्यूर, जब आप उसको देखते हो बनते हुए, इट इज स्मेलिंग बैड. इट यू कांट रियली, यू हैव टू डू लाइक दिस, इट्स रियली स्मेलिंग हॉरिबल व्हेन कंपोस्ट इज हैपनिंग नेचुरली. हमारे यहाँ बनती है, इसलिए मुझे पता है. आप वहां से वॉक करते हुए जाते हो, आपका मन करता है बस नाक बंद कर लो. बट देन व्हेन इट इज डन एंड द प्रोडक्ट इज आउट, golden manure, much better than fertilizers and pesticides and whatever, which may not smell that much, but they are chemical in nature. So it gives us all of these, readings and understandings that give us a lot of hope.
This is very
Yeah.
very empowering for me, what you said. Because that, that like, for example, I'm not good in self-discipline. So that possibility that I could be, and that is why it is here. So there's nothing without a cause and a reason. So this is thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Yeah, Monica, thank you for that. Yeah, that was quite a quite a thing. Could you just also expand on the sentimentality bit? Uh, because are you saying that if one is sentimental, I mean, one should not be, or what does that mean? Like, I can remember something and, be sentimental about it. What does it really lead to?
So the sentence I read was, and I will maybe share it later on the group also, that sentimentality is presence of egoism in a relationship or in love. और हम why would he say that? We will see. जहाँ जहाँ हम sentimental होते हैं, वहाँ पे हमारा सेंटर एक्चुअली में मैं होता है. जहाँ जहाँ हम सेंटिमेंटल होते हैं, मैं, और चाहे सेंटर दूसरा बंदा भी हो, कि आप बोलो नहीं यहाँ पे सेंटर मैं नहीं है, वो है सेंटर. जब तक मैं और दूसरा चल रहा है, तब तक वो डिवीजन तो बना हुआ है ना. मैं और दूसरे का डिवीजन तो बना हुआ है ना. तो दैट इज नॉट द हाईएस्ट पॉसिबिलिटी दैट वी हैव. Our highest possibility is that innate oneness which is always present. Always present. है ना. लेकिन उसको अचीव करना पड़ता है, उसको अटेन करना पड़ता है. वो ऐसे फ्री में, मुफ्त में नहीं मिलता. उसके लिए पात्र बनना पड़ता है, उसके लिए साधना करनी पड़ती है कि पता लगे कि अरे ये कैसे बोल रहे हो तुम, या वी आर ऑल वन. मैं तो नहीं फील करती, मुझे तो बहुत सेपरेशन फील होती है ना. एंड दैट इज वाई पेन कम्स एज सच अ बिग हेल्प. जस्ट अ मोमेंट. Yeah. So, when pain comes, that because we are sentimental and too attached, and when pain comes, तो हमें लगता है कि नहीं अब इससे निकलना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि वो दर्द बहुत, मतलब it just kills you. If it is intense, it begins to kill you from within, है ना. It makes you dysfunctional. Then you say that now I have to find the root of it and I have to get away from this, because this is not the way to live. That is why pain is helpful. Because if pain will not come, we will continue our older ways. कौन stop कर सकता है? रेड लाइट है ही नहीं, तो आप चलाते रहो गाड़ियां, सब हिट करती रहेंगी एक दूसरे को, है ना. तो रेड लाइट होने का एक पर्पज है, so that I stop. Pain is like red light. It's telling me that something I'm doing which is not correct. It's not in alignment with my true nature. So whenever we are sentimental, we have seen, all of us must have seen, it gives us so much of pain. तो उससे पता लगता है कि वो तरीका ठीक नहीं है ना. और तरीका क्या ठीक है, वो सबकी अपनी सेल्फ डिस्कवरी है. So we have to find that balance, and we have to find that maybe practical realization within ourselves, where we open our hearts also and yet are not attached. And it is not something which is being talked about for the first time. This is all scriptures have said. हर जगह यही तो बोला गया है कि डिटैच्ड भाव से काम करो, है ना, डिटैच्ड भाव से जियो. क्यों बोला गया वो अब हमको अब पता लगता है जब हमारे खुद के एक्सपीरियंसेस होते हैं, विच इज़ वेरी गुड, क्योंकि उससे पहले वो मेरे लिए ग्रीक एंड लैटिन है, मुझे नहीं आती वो समझ. मुझे वो समझ तब आती है जब मैं ऐसे एक्सपीरियंस के थ्रू गुजरती हूँ where I am attached and that brings me pain and now I am wanting to transcend it, the attachment. You know, there I begin, those words of scriptures and Vedas and everything, they become alive for me कि अब समझ में आया ये क्या कह रहे हैं. उससे पहले थोड़ी ना, उसके पहले तो that's why they say कि half of our life is just kind of, one can say, wasted in having these experiences. 40-50 years के अब हम होते हैं तो हमें पता लगता है कि अच्छा ये चल क्या रहा है माजरा, एक्सक्यूज मी. उससे पहले तो very naively we are having just experiences. I think mother also has said that half of the life is just like all this rehearsal happening around 30-40, whatever, if we are lucky, we can begin to wake up to what we are here for.
Yeah, because in one of the, I think just a day or two old session, there was one of that also the suffering that happens. Then again, that was one of the things, right? The me is the center, and around us, that suffering takes place because we have considered the I as, I mean, being the centerfold pretty much.
बिल्कुल. एंड इसके बहुत सारे एग्जाम्पल्स निकाले जा सकते हैं डे टू डे लाइफ से. A very trivial and very commonplace example is that when we give gifts to someone we think we love, और अगर आपने देखा कि उस गिफ्ट को वो बंदा अच्छे से यूज नहीं कर रहा है, आपने देखा है आपके दिल पे कैसे हथौड़े चलते हैं, क्यों चलते हैं? ये एग्जाम्पल श्री रामकृष्ण ने भी तो शेयर किया था ना. somebody gave him a shawl and then he put the shawl on the floor and began dancing on that shawl and it was very expensive shawl. That person said कि कर क्या रही है, आपको गिफ्ट दिया है पहनने के लिए, कहते तूने अब दे दिया ना मेरे को, देख अभी तूने दिया नहीं है पूरी तरीके से. तो उसमें वो मैं भाव है कि मैंने दिया, वो अभी तक एक्चुअली में आपने दिया नहीं है. जबकि द बेस्ट फॉर्म आई हैव सीन नाउ, अगेन रीडिंग, अंडरस्टैंडिंग थ्रू अवर ओन एक्सपीरियंसेस, मतलब जैसे ही आपने दिया आपका काम खत्म, आपका काम खत्म. Sri Aurobindo says that know that you are giving to the divine in the other person, and even if you get rejection, it is from the divine in the other person. Now, what is to there to think about? तो ये सेंटिमेंटलिज्म ही तो है, ये अटैचमेंट ही तो है कि देखा कि वो तो वैल्यू ही नहीं करता या करती मेरी चीजों को, मेरी चीजों को. अब आपको ये नहीं पता लग रहा कि वहां पे जो 10,000 चीजें और नहीं वैल्यू हो रही हैं, वो किस किस ने दी हुई थी, उनसे मेरे को कोई लेना देना नहीं है ना. मेरे को किससे लेना देना है? जो मैंने दी थी, मेरा भाव, तो वो मैं ही तो सबके सेंटर में है. इतनी हम इंपॉर्टेंस देते हैं अपने आप को. दिस इज व्हाट हैज टू गो. प्रेयर्स एंड मेडिटेशंस में यही तो हम पढ़ते हैं बार बार, that please teach the members of my being self abnegation, self forgetfulness, because thinking about myself all the time is so much pain and misery. नहीं चाहिए अभी. तो सेल्फलेस भाव से काम करना, निष्काम कर्म और डिटैच्ड एक्शन, डिटैच्ड लिविंग, all of that is pointing towards that. And that's the best way, because in that the other is also not troubled. आपने उसको भी तो freedom दी है. मदर कहती हैं in love, for example, she says that there is a letter, I think she is answering, and then she is saying कि why the other person also has right to his feelings, her feelings. जैसे तेरे को राइट है अपनी फीलिंग्स का, अच्छा तेरे में होगा जितना भी प्यार जो भी है, उस बंदे को अगर नहीं है तो वो उसका हक है. हाउ कैन यू फोर्स योर फीलिंग्स ऑन अदर पर्सन? एवरीबडी हैज देयर ओन राइट, देयर ओन फ्री. जैसे मुझे फ्रीडम है, जैसे मेरे को क्या फ्रीडम थी कि मैंने दे दिया, उसको फ्रीडम है उसको रिजेक्ट करने की, एक्सेप्ट करने की, उसको फेंकने की, उसको ना यूज करने की, वॉटेवर, उसको किसी और को दे देने की. मेरा ध्यान अभी तक उस पर क्यों है? दैट्स द क्वेश्चन। और वो इसलिए है क्योंकि वो मैं है। जहां मैं खत्म वहां पे आपने दे दिया, आपका वहां पे उसी समय आपने अपने आप को डिटैच कर लिया उस सिचुएशन से। हम क्या करते हैं, हम सजेशन देते हैं लोगों को, हम इंटरेक्ट करते हैं अपने फ्रेंड्स से, हम गिफ्ट देते हैं लोगों को, और हम ना क्या करते हैं, अपना कुछ पार्ट वहां छोड़ के चले जाते हैं, और फिर जब घर पहुंचते तो वो बहुत दर्द देता है क्योंकि वहां छोड़ दिया तुमने कुछ। पूरे अपने आप को लेके वापस घर नहीं आए हम, आधा पार्ट वहीं छोड़ के आ गए। और हम कब अपने पूरे पार्ट को घर लेके आएंगे, जब हमारा सिर्फ एक पति होगा और वो है परमेश्वर। वी जस्ट solely belong, when we begin to solely belong to the divine, तब हम अपने टुकड़े कहीं नहीं छोड़ के आते। तब हम पूरा का पूरा अपने आप को अपने पास वापस ले आते हैं, जो भी आपने काम किया वो करके। और उससे फायदा ये भी होता है फिर दूसरे के भी टुकड़े आपके पास नहीं रहते, क्योंकि टुकड़े टुकड़े में जीना कोई मजेदार बात नहीं है, दर्द देती है। और दर्द देती है तो दर्द इज अ सिग्नल कि सही तरीका नहीं है। तो उसको भी द अदर पर्सन ऑल्सो सोलली बिलोंग्स टू द डिवाइन, जस्ट लाइक यू सोलली बिलोंग टू द डिवाइन। तो ये जब बहुत ज्यादा उंगली होती है एक दूसरे के जीवन में ना, वो तकलीफ देना शुरू करती है। वो चाहे वो आपके कितना भी प्यारा हो, आपका बच्चा हो, राज दुलारा हो, कुछ भी हो वो आपका, it doesn't matter. Sooner or later there will come a time when you will realize that I have to detach. And I have seen that when we actually, consecration becomes relatively more completer, that you are not wanting things from anybody and you are just solely belonging to the divine, yet existing, interacting in the world, then आप ऐसा हो नहीं सकता कि आप फिर टुकड़े छोड़ो इधर उधर, एक्सपेक्टेशन रखो लोगों से। क्योंकि जब आप एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे होते हो ना, आप पूरी तरह से डिवाइन के साथ नहीं होते हो। और जिसको इतनी अक्ल आ गई है, समझ आ गई है पिट पिट के, तो वो अब ये नहीं करेगा गलती। वो अलग बात है कि अगेन लाइफ सिचुएशंस में हैपन इन सच अ वे, सम लेसन हैज टू कम, इट मे हैपन ऑफ कोर्स विद एवरीवन, बट नाउ एटलीस्ट ही इज ट्राइंग कॉन्शियसली टू बिलोंग ओनली सोलली टू द डिवाइन and to not interfere in anybody's life, because they also have to belong to the divine. They can't belong to anybody. तो यहाँ पे सेंटिमेंटैलिटी खत्म। आप देखोगे सेंटिमेंटैलिटी धीरे धीरे इट विल फेड अवे, इट विल बिकम नॉट योर नेचुरल नेचर। राइट नाउ सेंटिमेंटैलिटी इज अवर नेचुरल नेचर। ये हम तो इंसान हैं, सेंटिमेंटल नहीं होंगे क्या? देन इट विल बिकम एन एलियन थिंग, कि आप रिलेट नहीं कर पा रहे कि मैं जीऊं तो जीऊं कैसे सेंटिमेंटैलिटी के साथ। एंड Sri Aurobindo says that that's actually a purer kind of love, non-sticky. And people who love in that way, they may appear very cold and indifferent to other people. क्योंकि बॉलीवुड वो नहीं दिखाता, हॉलीवुड वो नहीं दिखाता, जो सास बहू के सीरियल्स हैं वो नहीं दिखाते हैं ना। अब क्या करें, मीडिया ही ऐसा है हमारा सारा। और इतना, दिस इज सो इनग्रेन्ड इन अस, द काइंड ऑफ लव दैट वी हैव इन अवर माइंड। ओ माय गॉड, पिटाई हो रही है जीवन में, फिजिकल डिजीजेस हैव कम, yet I have my own images about how it should happen, and they are all coming from these social media things which I've grown, like I have grown in childhood seeing those movies and listening all from everywhere about those things कि ये देखो प्यार, दोनों साथ साथ हाथ पकड़ के चल रहे हैं। तो मेरा हस्बैंड क्यों नहीं चल रहा मेरे साथ हाथ पकड़ के? मुझे तो वो चाहिए, देखो उसका चलता है। ये जाता नहीं है ये। आप देखो ना, ईगो, दिस इज व्हाट वी कॉल ईगो, दीमक की तरह खाती है। फिजिकल इलनेसेस वी बिगिन टू हैव, येट वी आर नॉट रेडी टू लीव अवर स्टबलनेस। तो इतनी हद, इतनी दूर तक हम चले जाते हैं क्योंकि फ्री विल है, गलत यूज है फ्री विल का। अब क्या करें, अब पता नहीं लग रहा, एक्चुअली पता भी नहीं लग रहा कि फ्री विल है। ऐसा लग रहा है कि नहीं ये होना चाहिए, मैं तो पीछे पड़ूंगी, ये नहीं पता लग रहा। अब यही तो श्री अरबिंदो कहते हैं दैट व्हेन वी टेक द स्टेचर ऑफ पुरुषा, द विटनेस, Then we realized that I was the one who had given by default sanction to all this play, the drama of my life. I can withdraw the sanction अभी के अभी, लेकिन वो अभी के अभी ऐसे नहीं होता ना, वो तो उसमें टाइम लगता है, उसमें साधना लगती है। और फिर गिले शिकवे भी मिट जाते हैं लोगों से कि उसने क्यों नहीं दिया मुझे, क्योंकि पता लग गया कि कोई दे ही नहीं सकता, किसी के बस की बात नहीं है। क्या करे बेचारा और बेचारी।
एक इंसिडेंट हुआ था, लाइक in our close relation. One distant uncle of ours had a sudden heart attack and he died. And his wife, who's my distant cousin, was almost like inconsolable. क्योंकि इतना मतलब suddenly हो गया था, बहुत प्यार था दोनों में, love marriage था, out of community शादी कर ली थी cousin ने, and completely inconsolable. We also felt very sorry for her. फिर funeral जब हो रही थी उस दिन, suddenly there was another lady who came in, and we later came to know that she was his mistress. And when this story broke out, it was like a shock for everybody, because uncle was very devoted to the cousin's husband was very devoted to the cousin, and we felt very sorry for her. But also, what happened that time for the lady who was so inconsolable, everything just changed that moment. In that one moment, he suddenly became like the biggest villain on earth. So, you know how outside circumstances changed everything that day. And I'm not just saying just for her, but it could have been anybody. Um, from tears of that separation and loss, it became like tears of anger and revenge, and I don't know what else I could say, but suddenly every emotion changed on its head. Though the person was the same who died, though she's the same person who loved him, but how does this sudden transformation happen just because outside circumstances change? So it's very interesting, because I guess there again is that whole play of desire and sticky love, or whatever we call it, right? So um, of course, I mean, everybody felt sympathized with her, and that kind of causes more of that emotion, right? Ki, I have been wronged. But of course, I mean, he was the most doting and devoted husband when when they were in that relationship. So I think it's such a parallel example to what you're saying. Yeah.
There is a very good play Mother has written. I was forgetting the name. I can share it, where the husband and wife looks like a good couple, but the husband falls in love for another woman, and the wife, when she gets to know this, you know, uh, it was such a chilling moment for me when I read this play, and I really understood like really what like Mother is portraying as love, to understand. She actually happily gives the hand of the husband to the woman, and because she sees that these two people have the more potentiality of living together in happiness and harmony, and they both will grow together, whereas she was already turned towards the divine. So there's few lines I can share as well, I have saved in my computer, where the husband says, "And my dear, what will you do?" Because he's also shocked, and she says, "Me, my love comes from where all loves originate. I live for him, and for him my life will be devoted, and I'm sure that there'll be no scarcity of love in my life." And it was so beautiful that how flimsy, like exactly what you shared, that in that one moment all that love, all that everything went into the dustbin because we don't know how to love. So in general, yeah, that play is really beautiful. If somebody wants to read it, I'm forgetting the name, I'm sorry, I can share it in the group later on.
I think it's Towards the Future, if I'm not wrong. Play.
Yeah, I think
Yeah?
so as well.
Towards
Yeah.
the Future. Yeah. I think. So Lojong is another name. Buddhism, they use it parallel to mind training. I think some of us may know. This is what Lojong is all about. Developing the confidence and the qualities that will help with whatever happens to us in our lives as our practice. Instead of moaning and complaining and feeling sorry for ourselves, we appreciate that this is our opportunity to practice properly. It is pointless to be a fair weather Buddhist who practices when the sun is shining, but runs for cover as soon as it starts storming. So I think this mother also talks about attitude as one of the 12 qualities on the path. Attitude, how, what is a good attitude? तो ये बहुत अच्छा एटीट्यूड है. अगर हम जो भी तकलीफ आती है उसमें अगर हम कुछ, some people have it in their, like they are born with it. You must have seen, you know, some people are very positive. No matter how much in तकलीफ they would be, they will always get something positive out of it. कि देखो बस इतना तो है, अभी तो इतना तो है. और कुछ लोग हम में से होते हैं जो बहुत नेगेटिव की तरफ ज़्यादा they tend to the negative side. And those who appear very positive and optimistic, they are not granted with it. They have done their previous practice. That's why in this life they have that attitude, which is the right attitude. And those who have not yet the right attitude, it's their time now to cultivate it. तो ये नहीं सोचना चाहिए जब हम कंपेयर करते हैं कि यार देखो यार ये तो मतलब मेरे में तो है ही नहीं, वही एक दो लोग होंगे जिसमें ये होता होगा. तो अगर वो एक दो लोग कर सकते हैं तो हम भी कर सकते हैं. And in Savitri there comes this line, you know, in where Savitri is going through all these inner experiences, and the voice says that because you have come to uplift the race, you have to go through all the challenges that the race represents. नहीं तो तुम्हें पता कैसे चलेगा कि उस गंदे गड्ढे में गिरे होते हैं तो ऊपर कैसे उठते हैं, है ना. क्योंकि अगर तुम सो कॉल्ड डिवाइन बन के बोलो कि भाई नहीं मेरा तो ओहदा इसके सबके ऊपर है, आई एम तो डिटैच, तो फिर आप कैसे बताओगे कि भाई अटैचमेंट में जो फंसा हुआ है उसको कैसे निकलना है. सो दैट्स वाई सावित्री, और इन अदर वर्ड्स द मदर हैज दिस इज व्हाट वी कॉल डिवाइन सैक्रिफाइस. कि आप टेस्ट करना चाह रहे हो कि वहां क्या है जो इतना तकलीफ देता है, तो आप पूरे के पूरे उसमें अंदर चले जाते हो, उसको जीतते हो. वी विल सी मदर हैड 2 marriages. Mother was mother to biological mother to a child. तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं है जो मदर ने नहीं एक्सपीरियंस किया. क्यों? क्योंकि तभी तो वो हमको गाइड कर सकती हैं. You know, because she has touched all these spaces where we are, you know, from time to time. So this is what we call divine sacrifice of the avatar, कि उसको कोई जरूरत नहीं है करने की, बट वो करेगा. क्योंकि वो कैसे बताएगा बच्चों को कि इससे बाहर निकला जा सकता है. जब मैं निकल सकती हूँ तो तुम भी निकल सकते हो. और तभी मदर की गाइडेंस हमको इतनी क्रिस्प एंड यू नो ऐसा लगता है कि यस 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 एग्जैक्टली यही हो रहा है, यू नो, बिकॉज शी हैज लिव्ड इट थ्रू ऑल. एक एक मशीनरी के बारे में उनको पता है कि अच्छा ये हो रहा है तो क्या गड़बड़ कर रहे हो, अच्छा वो हो रहा है तो क्या गड़बड़ कर रहे हो, बिकॉज शी हैज लिव्ड इट. तो फिर यू नो व्हेन वी टेक दिस एटीट्यूड कि जो भी होगा हम उससे सीख लेंगे, क्योंकि यही तो करने आए हैं, और क्या करने आए हैं, और ह्यूमन बीइंग होने का क्या फायदा है. खाने पीने सोने बाथरूम जाने ये सब करने थोड़ी ना आए हैं. एनिमल ही रहते, ह्यूमन बर्थ की जरूरत ही नहीं थी अगर यही सब करना था तो. So being an Aryan is not a luxury for a few, it is our birthright. उसके बिना हम खुश ही नहीं रह सकते. Progress gives joy, mother says. And Sri Aurobindo in Synthesis of Yoga says, no experience, no matter how beautiful it is, no progress, no matter how big it seems, we cannot stay there. We always have to go further. He says, from light to a greater light, from illumination to a greater illumination, from experience to a greater experience. And this is an infinite journey. And there, अगर हम ये देखेंगे तो of course humility will come कि है ही क्या हम उसके सामने जो अभी अंडन है. चाहे कितना भी अचीव कर लिया, उसके सामने कुछ भी नहीं है जो अभी अचीव करना रह गया है. कितने भी हम शांत हो गए, लेकिन हमें पता है अभी, एंड इट्स वेरी गुड, देयर इज एक्चुअली अ फ्लावर नेम्ड आफ्टर इट. व्हेन यू नो योर फैक्चुअल सिचुएशन की अभी कितने पानी में है, तो वी शुड कीप ऑन चेकिंग फ्रॉम टाइम टू टाइम. एंड दीज सिचुएशन, डिफिकल्ट सिचुएशंस, दे आर द वंस विच टेल कि अभी पानी है. तो ज़्यादा ऊंचे मत उठो, क्योंकि बार बार हम ऊंचे उठ जाते हैं ना चाहते हुए भी. नहीं, एकदम से वो घमंड आ जाएगा, कुछ आ जाएगा, कुछ ना कुछ आ जाता है जो हमको एकदम से ऊपर कर देता है. बहुत अच्छा है. वी कैन बी सो ग्रेटफुल टू ऑल दीज डिफिकल्ट सिचुएशंस दैट दे टेल अस दैट देयर इज सो मच मोर टू बी डन. वी हैव एम्प्लॉयमेंट फॉर नॉट अ लाइफ टाइम बट लाइफ टाइम्स टू कम. फॉर एवर एम्प्लॉयड. बेरोजगारी का कोई डर नहीं है. Yeah, any last comments?
And it's all kind of tying back to, the first sentence that we read today, that we practice the dharma because we need to get strong. Like, that line that if I go to Kailash like I am, nothing would change, right? The same personality, the same sticky thing would go and sit at a different location and things would be what they are. So if I keep reminding myself that, I'm so say if I'm used to certain things and then I get into the dharma, or if I'm practicing, I'm doing my sadhana, and then again there also I feel I'm getting used to things. And when they're getting pulled, I am crying or I'm saying, oh, ye kuch galat ho raha hai, to wahan pe matlab that's stopping. But I'm doing this so that I can be strong, kind of helps in steering one towards the right direction. Otherwise, we keep repeating our older patterns, and even these teachings, these videos, everything, it remains just till the level of entertainment, as we say. And yet the capacities that we have, how you and Nandini were also discussing, and a few days back also, I think Nandini only had shared that how it's not about my effort. I don't have faith in my effort, but I have faith in divine grace. So that also is quite beautiful, that the one, who's running the whole world, does he not have the strength or the grace to grant me, or, give me that strength that I need? I mean, of course he does, of course he does. So that strength, that why am I doing this, or something that helps, I guess, one in transcending where one needs to be.
So let's take a last moment to dedicate and share a minute. Thank you.